Hey, it's Nick Digilio here, and thank you so much for checking out my YouTube channel. You can subscribe, it's free. Almost daily videos will be posted there. You can check me out at Patreon. I hope that you do that. All the videos and the content that I like to do is all DIY, and I really hope that you can help us out. Help me out at patreon.com. Pick a tier, donate a little dough. It'll help me to keep this stuff going and also give you access to some bonus material, including videos about what really happened at WGN. You can check out patreon.com/NickDShow. My podcast launched yesterday, and it will now continue to drop new episodes every Tuesday and Friday of each week at the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Subscribe there and anywhere you get your podcasts. So yesterday I heard the news that Bill Jackson had passed away. I was shocked, to say the least. He was 86 years old, and well, anyway, for those who don't, I'm sorry. Bill Jackson, better known as BJ, was the creator of some legendary television programs in Chicago, locally here in Chicago. Started out as Cartoon Town. He hosted a couple of shows in the early to mid 60s here in Chicago, and then became the creator and the host of Cartoon Town, which would eventually evolve into BJ and the Dirty Dragon, which would also kind of evolve into BJ and the Gigglesnort Hotel. I'm 56 years old, and I am in that range of age. Lifetime Chicagoan, I should say that. So I am a 56-year-old, born and bred Chicago native. And if you are around my age and you are from Chicago, there is no way that you don't know who Bill Jackson was. And there is no way that he did not have an impact on your childhood. I don't know why so, you know, the beginning of 2022 has been kind of crazy in terms of how the rapid succession of people who have passed away in the public eye, celebrities and things like that. And I don't know, for some reason that seems to happen every year. I don't know. I was just thinking about this, that it seems to happen like that. A lot of people that are sort of beloved or that we know pass away in rapid succession at the beginning of each year. It just seems to happen more frequently as the years go by. You know, Betty White died on New Year's Eve. Sidney Poitier passed away. Bob Saget passed away. Yvette Mimieux just passed away. It was reported that she passed away yesterday. And it's just, you know, it's coming one after another, and it seems to happen like that at the beginning of each year. And I don't want to say it gets commonplace where it's like, oh, well, another person died and we feel bad about it. But when I was scrolling through my social media yesterday, a friend of mine, my friend Dan Lapke, who I've known for years, also a Chicago guy, lives in St. Louis now, but grew up here in Chicago. I think he's a couple of years younger than me, maybe 2-3 years younger than me. So he is also in that wheelhouse. He posted on his Facebook page that Bill Jackson had passed away, and I didn't hear about it. And I was like, "What are you talking about? What?" And then eventually it started to make its way through social media, and then it took a while for the press to actually, you know, catch on to it. It was posted by one of his friends, a buddy of his, Mr. Ryan, a buddy of his. And then it started to slowly, Jeff Hoover over at WGN TV had heard about it as well and started posting. And Jeff Hoover was obviously inspired. Jeff's around my age. You can see him on Channel 9. And he was clearly inspired by Bill and knew him, got to know him, and do bits with him on television and all kinds of stuff. And so he posted about it. There wasn't like an official announcement from any sort of website. There was not the press didn't, this was just, it was just people who knew who he was, who had a connection to him in some way, started to post this online. And I was gutted. I have to say, I was gutted as someone who grew up in this city in a very specific time. Bill Jackson was like a god to me, and I can't tell you how much BJ and the Dirty Dragon meant to me, and Gigglesnort Hotel meant to me. You know, towards the end of Gigglesnort Hotel, I was 13 years old, so I was, you know, kind of moving away from, you know, the children's programming. But BJ and the Dirty Dragon was I don't even, but anyway, so he passed away. He was 86 years old. I guess it was reported that he had COVID at one point, and maybe he didn't. It's not really sure yet. I don't want to speculate on how he passed away, but he got sick, and he's 86 years old, and he passed away. He lived in California. He had retired to California. Well, he moved to California, and he in I think it was the late 80s or something like that, or something around that time. Moved to California and continued teaching and things like that, and then retired. He was born in Missouri. He was an artist. He was a designer. Started hosting programs, local programs here in Chicago. He worked with every local station that you can. He worked with Channel 2, Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 32. He became noticed for Cartoon Count, and he brought along these characters that he created, these puppets that you know, that he designed, that he provided all the voices for. It was this other world. It was this world where Dirty Dragon was a postmaster. There were characters like Weird, who was one of my favorite puppets. There was Mother Peachtree. There was the old professor. There was so many other characters. All the puppets were really wonderfully designed and a little weird. He provided all the voices for it. He designed the sets. He created the world in which Gigglesnort Hotel and BJ and the Dirty Dragon existed. And it was this other world. He did it locally here in Chicago. And he had a massive connection with his audience. But not just, you know, me, but millions of other people in Chicago, thousands and thousands of other kids in Chicago watched him daily and felt a connection to him. The shows were funny. They were hip. You go back and you watch them as an adult, and I was a little kid when I watched them, and I didn't get some of the humor that was meant to, you know, to placate and entertain the adults in the audience as well. He worked on both levels, and the characters were memorable. The puppets were great. You had your favorites, and some of them were scary. Professor Doompuss was terrifying. I remember the character Professor Doompuss was terrifying. And he created this world with all these hilarious characters and great puppets, and he was so massively talented. Bill Jackson was so massively talented. He was an incredible artist, could draw beautifully, had so much ability in that, so much artistic ability that it's unbelievable. He designed all the puppets, as I said, created them, did the sets, designed all of them. He was a true artist. He also had this character called Blob. And he was just simply a blob of clay. And Bill would do these bits where he would like communicate with Blob. And Blob he didn't really speak a language. He spoke that's kind of how Blob communicated. And Bill would have conversations with him and do bits with him. And he would reshape Blob's, you know, because he was a blob of clay. And him, you know, Bill being the artist that he was, he would reshape Blob's face, put eyes on him like cardboard eyes and expressions of happiness or sadness. He'd put a hat on him, like a cigar, you know, that kind of thing. And he would have these great conversations with Blob, who became this wonderful, lovely character. And all it was a blob of clay and a voice that went, rah, 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 rah. And he became this three-dimensional character that I fucking adored. And that was because of Bill Jackson. He created that whole thing. All the characters were memorable. This whole world became real. This Gigglesnort Hotel, this world of BJ and the Dirty Dragon. The Dirty Dragon was an amazing puppet. Had smoke would come out of its nose, and these characters became real to me as a child. They were three-dimensional. As a kid, that world was real. It was as real as the world I was living in when I was going to school every day. And I loved BJ. I loved him. He wore like a bowler hat. had like sideburns because it was sometimes, you know, it was the late 70s and the late 60s, early 70s, and he had these great sideburns. And to watch him draw and create, and you know, it inspired me to try and be more creative. It truly inspired me in my creativity. It was like, wow, if this guy, look at him draw this stuff and communicate with these other individuals. And it was this world that I was taken away to, and it was shot in a studio in downtown Chicago, in a small studio. And he created this world that was vast and filled with imagination and filled with great characters. And he did it on a shoestring budget for local television in like a basement, you know, studio facility. He became hugely popular, did tons of personal appearances at movie theaters and museums, and they would do tapings. At one point, they would do tapings of Gigglesnort Hotel in Marina Tower when Channel 32 was out of Marina Tower, and I went to a taping one time when I was a little kid. My dad took me to a taping, and I'll never forget that. I, you know, sent letters to him and got letters back with drawings and headshots that were signed by him, and pictures of all the characters, including my favorite was Blob. I think everybody's favorite was Blob. You know, Dirty Dragon was awesome. And, you know, Doompuss scared the hell out of me. That's all I'm saying. Dr. Doompuss just scared the hell out of me. And so, you know, he meant a lot to me in the same way that Ray Rayner meant a lot to me, and that Bob Bell as Bozo meant to me, Fraser Thomas, and Garfield Goose. And the way that a lot of, in like the Jerry G. Bishop as the original Svengoolie, and the way that Rich Coase, who was kind enough to be my first guest on my podcast just yesterday, means to me and to a lot of other people and younger people. Rich hosted a show called The Coase Zone. It was a children's show, and I know that he acquired a ton of young fans because of that. And these local TV shows that barely exist anymore at all, they were the core of what we watched when we were kids. And because it was local, the hosts of the shows were more immediate. They had a more intimate connection because they talked about things that we knew about. They talked about the city, and they talked about what was happening, and you could write them and they would write you back. Scooby-Doo would never write you back, but Blob would, you know? So personally, I would watch it religiously. I would watch BJ and the Dirty Dragon religiously. I was obsessed. I had pictures of the characters on my bedroom wall. I had pictures of BJ, and then the stuff that he would autograph and send back to me. When I went to the taping of the show, there was like an autograph session, and I got to get things signed. During the taping, I'll never forget this. I don't know how old I was, but I was a little kid. But Dr. Doompuss came out, Professor Doompuss or Dr. Doompuss came out, and he ran through the audience, and everybody was freaking out, and all the kids, and I was scared shitless. And then he walked up near me and pointed at me. I'll never forget this. Doompuss pointed at me, and I literally like screamed. I was like, ah! And it scared the hell out of me, but in a great way, in that great, wonderful way. But I'll never forget it. This is a moment that is, you know, etched in my brain. Doompuss pointed at me, like directly at me, and shook his head. I'll never forget that. And that's because of Bill Jackson. So I watched it all the time. The characters were amazing, and they had continual plot stories during the show. There were jokes, sight gags. It was this other world that existed that had storylines and characters and interactions with BJ, and you know, moments where you can see his flourishes as an artist and his talent as a storyteller and a mirth maker. Maurice Linnell, the cookie company, was a big sponsor on the show, and so you know, these were our favorite cookies. Jesus, they were made right next to the Norwich Theater here in Chicago. You know, by the Axle, by the Hub, the roller rink on Harlem Avenue. That's where Maurice Linnell was made, and it made it even more, you know, immediate. It made it even more like it was ours as Chicagoans, as Chicago kids. The cookies that Chicago kids ate were Maurice Linnell. I preferred the Pinwheel. The Pinwheel was my favorite. But that was it. They were a sponsor on the show, so that made it even more. It was feel like we knew these people, that we knew. I felt like I knew Bill Jackson. And I know that's weird. So, you know, years later, because I was lucky enough to have a radio show on WGN for many years, I got to interview Bill Jackson twice. Now, I never met Bill, besides public appearances that I would probably go to when I was younger. I never actually got to meet Mr. Jackson on any kind of professional level. I never had the chance to meet him. I know a lot of people in our business have. I know Jeff Hoover had a relationship with him. I know Dean Richards. A lot of the people who, Dave Plyer, who helps run the Museum of Broadcast Communications, obviously knew him and met him many times. There's an exhibit of Bill Jackson's stuff at the Museum of Broadcast History down on State Street in Chicago. It's free. You should check it out. It's got all the puppets and the sets and everything. They do such a great job at the Museum of Broadcast, of Broadcast History, of communications, broadcast communications. And you should go down and check it out. They've, a lot of the local stuff that we loved so much as kids, it's there. There are displays. They do it with respect and everything. So if you want to see Bill Jackson's, exhibit with the puppets and all that kind of stuff, you should definitely check it out. But anyway, I know a lot of my colleagues at WGN and in local press had the pleasure of actually meeting him face to face. I never did. I did get to interview him twice, and I have to say, he ran a website, and he was really hands-on with his website. He would send VHS tapes to people of the old Gigglesnort Hotel with clips and full shows. He really wanted to keep that alive. He knew how much that show meant to a lot of us and how much it had an impact on us when we were kids. And he kept that alive, almost single-handedly with his website. He posted videos online, that we could all watch and remember all the wonderful shows that we used to love when we were kids. And he was hands-on. He would sign things and send people that. He ran he ran the website for many years, so that we could see these memories, and he did that pretty much up until he died, and so it was great. But I had him on the show to talk about the website and talk about obviously anything. And I remember when my producer got him on the phone, and we would have a computer screen in front of us showing us the name of the caller, what line they were on, and that stuff. And when I saw the on hold sort of light flashing, and I saw the name Bill Jackson, and I was about to press the button and talk to him. I had not talked to him. My producer booked it. I wanted to talk to him on the air, and my producer called up, and he didn't have an agent, or he didn't have people. You called Bill Jackson. And I remember seeing that the first time I was ever going to talk to him on the air, and I was starstruck and nervous. I became very, very nervous. And I was rarely, if ever, nervous meeting celebrities. I met a lot of celebrities and stuff like that. I've been nervous a few times, over the years. But I want to, maintain professionalism, whatever that was in my case, But I remember really being nervous. Like, I hit that button, and that on-air button, and he came on, and I heard his voice, and we had a great conversation, and he answered all the great questions, and he took calls from listeners who also loved him, who also grew up on him, who also acknowledged the fact that he and his creation were a huge part of their childhood. And it was a great interview. And then I had him on a few years later to talk again. But it was that at that moment when I first hit that button to put him on the air, I was scared shitless. I really was. I was like, my God, I'm talking to BJ. This is unbelievable. So I got to interview him a couple of times, which was fantastic. He sent me some stuff, and we had communication here and there. But I never got to meet him face to face. So I don't know, I felt gutted yesterday when I heard this news that he had died. It was a big part of my childhood, a really, really huge part of my childhood. And I knew that, but I guess I took it for granted. And, when I saw the words, Bill Jackson has passed away, I started to cry. I'm not kidding. I did. And again, interviewed him a couple of times. I never met him face to face. But my childhood, a big part of my childhood, died yesterday. This was a really big, it was a big thing, BJ and the Dirty Dragon was big for me, and Gigglesnort Hotel was big. And so it was one of those deals where, like I'm 56 years old, and I don't, I don't sit and contemplate, my mortality or anything like that. But yesterday, when I saw the sentence, Bill Jackson has passed away, seriously, a part of my childhood died with him. So anyway, I just wanted to say that he made an impact on me, on my life as a child, that few artists ever did, especially on a local basis. The memories that I have from watching that show, the memories that I have from eating Maurice Linnell cookies while I watched the show, the memories that I have of receiving things through the mail and being so excited when I would get like an autographed picture or something else, going to that taping, Doompuss pointing at me. That's all memories that I'll never forget. These are things that happened to me that were huge in my childhood. And it was a big deal to watch that show every day. So, anyway, I just wanted to mention that he was extraordinary. And, and I notice now, that online and on social media, people are paying tribute. Tons of people are now paying tribute to him and giving him the proper respect. And columnists all over the place are writing about him, and they're treating him with the dignity and the respect that he deserved. The impact that he made on so many people's lives as a child, that impact is immeasurable. It's huge. And like I said, when I heard that he had passed away, it really felt like a big chunk of my childhood died with him. So anyway, I hadn't been affected by a celebrity death like that in a long time. But anyway, Bill Jackson, rest in peace. The contributions that you made to our lives and to my life personally are massive. And you were a big part. Your creation, your mind, your vision, your characters shaped my childhood in a big way. So my thank you, a deep and heartfelt thank you to Bill Jackson. My condolences to his friends and family survived by his wife. And it was an incredibly sad moment to realize that. But there are videos out there. Fuzzy Memories TV is another place you can check these things out. And he left behind an incredible, just an incredible group of things and heritage and all kinds of stuff. And again, check out the Museum of Broadcast Communications. But anyway, rest in peace, Bill Jackson. I just wanted to throw this video out there and pay tribute to a man who made a massive impact on me and my childhood. So, a little piece of my life was gone yesterday. So, anyway, rest in peace, Bill Jackson, and thank you for everything you've done.